Shows that make you laugh. Shows that make you think. Music that moves you. It could only be one place. Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to know that the big challenge of today's show is that we have a studio audience filled with men, and they are going wild because, ladies and gentlemen, we have Miss Amber J. Lawson here.
Calm down. Guys.
Get back.
Stop.
Get back. Yeah, if you step on any of them, it's kind of a lawsuit. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tech Cat Show. We are here with the fabulous Amber J. Lawson, who I am calling the Producing Philanthropist. And believe me, spelling philanthropist was hard. Saying it is even hard, too.
Entrepreneur is hard to spell, too.
Entrepreneurs, yes.
I always screw that
Those
up.
modern words are tough, really tough.
What we identify ourselves with.
That's right.
It'd be rough.
Well, I think there's like French in there. Anyway, Amber J is a super connector, really, truly a super connector in the content industry. And you really have this great background in long and short form content, but in also understanding the business models. And so it all comes together to make you a, producing executive phenomena. Everybody in the YouTube multi-channel network space. And then the other side of your life is Comedy Gives Back, which we're going to hear about in a second, which is all about philanthropic social good causes and using comedians in the digital space to raise money. So I want to hear all about that. So you have a network of comedians and you have this network of YouTube and content creators, and then you kind of mush them all together and make magic happen. How do you do it, Amber J. Lawson?
I no comment.
There we go. We practiced that. So tell us a little bit about your background, how you came to be the you that we see here. Right now.
Well, my love and my soul is in comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been touching comedy inappropriately for a very long time.
It's got to be inappropriate or it doesn't work.
Yeah. I was in Chicago. I came up the ranks with the likes of Tina Fey and Amy Poehler at Second City and Improv Olympic in Chicago.
As a performer.
As a performer,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And
I've seen your very famous Bette Midler impersonation.
Oh, you've outed me. No comment.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Huh? Oh, maybe if we have more cocktails. It is Friday.
That's right. Friday. Woohoo!
TGIF. So, yeah, I've been around comedy. I came to LA. I was a performer, and I was like, I cannot be at my life. Work cannot be at the behest of somebody else saying yes or no. So I became a producer immediately and was like, okay, and started creating my own opportunities so that I could manifest my own destiny, really. And so it's always touched comedy in one way, shape, or form. I created a show with my partner Jay Leggett, who has since passed on, but we created a show called Comedy Cocktail at Hollywood and Highland, here smack dab in the middle of Hollywood.
Wow.
And it was a breeding ground for
germs,
A, B, probably some inappropriate diseases, and C, huge superstars. So the Workaholics came out of it, Frangela,
a lot of well-known comedians and acts.
And online folks. So this is when Ask a Ninja was just burgeoning. And Kim Evie used to perform at our show before she partnered with Felicia Day, which became the Geek and Sundry phenomenon that it was.
So a lot of these folks were trying out their idea, their IP, their comedy personas live on stage, and then they moved to the YouTube world when that started taking off.
It was a little of both. So we were a mixed media show. So there would be live sketches, and some of those live sketches would end up being videos or web series, which was very early at that time. We were partnered with Super Deluxe, which was a TBS brand, and they created a network which Tim and Eric was born out of, among many other.
And they put it online?
All online.
Okay.
All online. It was before the YouTube phenomenon. It was,
early.
Just a hot minute too soon, but really starting performers, especially comedians,
talent
to leverage this new platform to express themselves, which had never really been done before. You know, live
always,
shows had, but
right,
this
and they were expressing themselves in the privacy of their own homes
for the world to see now.
That's right.
And so then, National Lampoon came in and said, "Hey, Amber J and J, would you be interested in reimagining the National Lampoon Lemmings?" And, you know, if you don't know the history, SNL was pretty much born out of the Lemmings. That first crew, Belushi and Chevy Chase, all came out of the Lemmings. And so that was the holy grail for us to go work at National. I'm from Raytown, Missouri. I am working at National Lampoon on Sunset Boulevard and reimagining the National Lampoon Lemmings. So that was definitely like bucket list stuff.
And was that to go online as well, or was that purely a live show?
So it was both. It was a mixed media show, and Jillian Bell, who you see on Workaholics and in all sorts of movies and TV shows now, she was in that cast, as well as the Workaholics, so Adam Devine and Anders and Blake and Kyle. And it was live show as well as videos.
Cool.
So we did like men. So as opposed to Cirque du Soleil, it was men.
And you were producing this whole thing. And again, this is before
we were imagining it,
right?
And completely reimagining it, putting it on its feet, and
before,
producing it.
Okay, and before
and
YouTube again, and before all of that. And then what happened next? Did it take off? It
was crazy. So this organization, this company out of Denver called Mania TV, saw us and said, "Hey, why don't we do 13 one-hour sketch shows online?" And we were like, okay. So we moved over to, they had this studio on Pico Boulevard, and it was like summer camp. You know, I mean, we come from theater and from summer camp and Jewish summer camp. And
you're working me up into a tither here.
Into a frenzy.
Yeah,
nice.
I'm getting hot. I'm getting hot.
That's what I do.
Calm
down. Stop.
Yeah.
And
well,
So it was one of those like once in a lifetime experiences where everybody was all in around the clock making
comedy,
making funny.
And then what happened? Did I meet you around the Mania TV time? Was that?
I might have been right after that, I think. But it was really, frankly, my graduate school in business. Yeah. Because I had always been an entrepreneur out on my own, you know, just by trial and error, making stuff happen. Very kind of YouTube mentality of just doing.
Just do it and
just
see
go
what
do
happens
it
later.
and figure it out, and we'll wherever the chips fall where they may, and figure it out. And it worked, you know. Sometimes it didn't, but you know, you learn from it. And so we were at Mania TV, and so that was the first time I had a board to report to. I then was hired. I was hired at Mania TV to run comedy, and then I ran all of programming with Stephen Goldby, and then I moved over into branded entertainment. So what we discovered while there was that.
Oopsie, sorry.
Hello. That branded. In order to really sell in brands, right? And this is where we're at right now. So it was, again, ahead of its time. We hadn't figured out the metrics around it.
But the whole thing
to
was
create branded content or content as brand as character. Yeah. And we succeeded and we failed miserably at it. But that the creators, the creatives needed to be in the conversation with the brands
right,
in order to really execute a vision that was authentic to the audience.
I don't know what is going on. Stop it. Stop. Bad phone. Bad.
You're still popular, Lori.
Okay.
but that the two should be working together, that they weren't mutually exclusive, and that one hand couldn't talk to the other, but in fact there was more success in working together,
which is how it goes down today. But my question for you though was Mania TV then funded by an outside was it?
It was Warner
Okay.
and Comcast,
So they
and
they
big
funded it,
organizations.
and then the P&L, you had some goals that you had to meet basically on the P&L. So selling the content to brands was the model you were
So
going
yeah,
after.
it was profitable by design is what we called it. So it was basically built of sold. We would go out with a slate of content, and when we had a brand come aboard, then it was greenlit. And we had Dave Navarro at the time. He had Spread TV, and it was the gaming network. And frankly, when Mania TV closed at the burst of the bubble in 2008, most of them went over to Machinima.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because they were at the beginning of Machinima, because they were all in this gaming space, and there was so much traction and so much audience around there. So a lot of our talent ended up at Machinima.
Machinima, which is another multi-channel network that has been reborn again as a sort of fanboy destination YouTube network. All right. So after Mania, what happened then?
So I moved over.
Somebody's
Very
really
popular.
trying
I
to
mean,
get me.
I'm feeling a little left out at this point. Maybe we should do a three-way call.
Yeah. Well, you know how I feel about three ways.
No, tell us, Lori.
I get confused. I just get confused. That's all I'm going to say.
There's so many ways I
There's
could
so
go
many
with that.
parts. And anyway, so all right. So after Mania,
I moved over to Babblegum.
okay.
So
and that's when we met.
Yes.
That's when we met. Yeah.
So I was running their comedy division, specifically in the U.S., but also acquisitions internationally.
And they were another content play.
Right. So they were doing their strength was mobile.
Okay.
And it was a little bit before, mobile today, right?
But it wasn't smartphones. It was when telecoms had decks that you would create video for and things
well,
like
we
that.
still it was version 1 of
Yeah.
the iPhone, and we were an app. Babblegum was an app, and you could consume content. Of course, it was on your desktop, laptop as well.
Yeah.
But really, that was the
Very early.
idea.
Yeah.
And we did Funny or Die's first mobile deal.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that was a big thing. So day and date, when Funny or Die would release, we would have their content. And the other interesting thing that came out of that, so we had these great partnerships where we were turning old school comic strips into animated videos.
Oh, fun.
And those were huge.
Right.
Interestingly, shockingly huge.
Right.
Like Dilbert and Ziggy,
But
and
very,
those kind
very
of
snackable content, which
Yeah.
is kind of what hit at that time. And
Exactly.
still is hitting. But you guys were really inventing it for the first time.
And what came out of that, from that perspective, is then we started doing original content, and I gave Kevin Pollak his directorial debut with Vamped Out, which is his series. And our biggest show, which has been since replicated by many folks, was Kids Reenact. So we would have kids reenact, what's the Jersey Shore? I mean,
Right. Oh,
ridiculous.
So they would reenact popular shows or things like that.
Right.
Oh my God.
it was so great.
Okay.
And then we did like the Oscars, and so then they did like Black Swan as kid. I mean, it was
Crazy stuff.
it was very viral, right? And it would get picked up everywhere. And then so Babblegum also met its demise. And it was based in
Ladies and gentlemen,
Milan.
let's hear it for Demise. There we go. It's Hollywood after all.
Right.
We're up, we're down, and we move on.
We move on. Well,
Oh, wow. Sir, put
back
that
to the
whip down.
three-way. Back to the what's happening.
Yeah. Wherever you go, there is always a man with a whip. I just want you to know that.
It's in my rider, just so you know. So I transitioned over to AOL, and I ran all of programming and content at AOL in the middle of a big transition into original content. So I got to oversee the studios. So AOL has these amazing state-of-the-art studios in LA and New York.
Yeah,
Who
beautiful.
knew?
Right.
It was amazing, and we were churning out so much content, and then over all the O&Os. So they have
Explain what an O&O is.
So they own TechCrunch and various brands
That they
that
had
they
publishers.
bought.
Different publishers.
Different
right.
publishers, but they don't call them AOL. They call them whatever that brand was that
Right.
that was the reason they bought them.
Right. For the eyeballs.
Because they bought that audience and that specific vertical. And so when I transitioned out of that, I was looking for, really for me, I got like, oh, I get making money. That's awesome. And I would like to continue to do that. But how do I do that?
Because you have needs.
I have needs. I have a certain lifestyle. Like if you can't tell, got things to keep up, literally.
And down, frankly. All right, anyway.
But we could be here all day.
And we will be, frankly.
Thank you. So this is a 24-hour broadcast.
Tony
Do people
Sweet,
know that?
Tony Sweet doesn't know that, but we've taken over UBN. We've taken it over.
And Red Bull. So
yeah.
So I was like, how do I merge the three things I love?
Right.
Which is, digital, comedy, and social good on a global scale.
Right. And had you been dabbling in social good outside of all this other stuff you were doing?
I was dabbling in some things. I don't know if it was social good, Lori.
Yeah, you've told me those stories. Those stories have made me blush, Amber J. But also, when you're a married broad, they also fill your heart.
Keep you going.
Keep you going, yeah.
No. Yeah, I mean, I think philanthropy has always been a part of my life. I think that being born and bred in Raytown, Missouri, my parents have always taught me to give back through church and through my sorority at the University of Missouri, Sigma Kappa, and which I won Best Actress at Greek Week.
Wow.
I won't tell you what year.
Wow. Years, we don't talk about dates, birthdays, years. You're on the Tech Cat Show. Age is ephemeral.
Thank you. Is that a kind of cheese?
It is. It is.
Just checking.
It's a stinky cheese.
And a yummy cheese.
And a yummy cheese, yes.
So yes, it's always been a part of my life, and kind of a conversation that's been floating in my consciousness for years, but not really figuring out how to make a business out of it, because I do think the notion of nonprofit almost puts the wrong connotation on it. It's a business that the business is helping people.
Right.
And if you run it like a business, you can help more people.
Right. And it's really transitioned from this idea of nonprofit and charity to social good and to community and to
impact. And
millennial-esque, what can we all do together? Crowdfunding, crowdsourcing. So it's a whole different flavor now. It's not this empty room in a building that nobody goes to, full of bureaucrats, where you get a special tax code. That was nonprofit and charity 10 years ago.
That's scary.
That's right, and that's not what you're doing.
No, so I got together with my two best friends, other than Lori H. Schwartz.
That's right.
And
your non-Tech Cat best friends.
Correct.
That's right.
So Zoe Friedman, who her father is Bud Friedman, who created the Improv. And so she comes from a long line of funny people.
Spilkus and funny people.
And gefilte
and
funk.
Is she like hysterical? I mean, I've met her many times, but has she got the funny?
She knows comedy. She is not a comedian.
Well put.
How about them apples?
Yeah, that's good. And oranges too.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen. Because we need vitamin C.
And then my other partner is Jody Lieberman, and she hails from the town of Montreal in Canada, and she was head of programming for the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival. So she has a real international reach and understanding.
This is the international sign for international.
Look, I work at international companies. That is the international sign. If you don't know it
you
already,
be landing a plane right now too.
Just don't wave too much. You know what I'm saying?
By the way, why do you hang out with so many Jews? Friedman,
I love
Lieberman,
the Jews.
Schwartz, what is it?
I'm Jewish.
Yeah, you are.
I'm from Raytown, Missouri, so I didn't meet my first Jewish person until I got to college.
I understand there were shtetls in Missouri, and
I don't even know what that means.
We're uncovering them now. It's caves where Jews lived.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they weren't bright, but people had good times though.
I can only imagine.
Lots of eating.
Lots of eating and lots of comedy.
Lots of comedy, exactly. All right, so you're hanging out with Jews. You get together with your two best friends,
and I say, these are the three things I want to do. Do you want to do these three things together with me? And they're like, yeah. And so I said, let's come up. Like, what? What are we gonna do?
Right.
And so we came up with this idea of a 24-hour live streamed global digital telethon of live stand-up comedy for charity.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And so we had kind of a beta test early on in 2011 where we did 3 cities, and we had 100,000 concurrent live streams, which was crazy at the time.
How did you line up all these comedians? They were all old friends of yours? Or
Well, they don't line up well. They kind of just come in whenever they want.
Usually they have busy hair. Yeah.
Well, so, having 3 women whose lives are based in comedy,
you guys know everyone.
Jerry Seinfeld would help Zoe with her homework at the bar at the Improv in New York.
Okay, got it. Right.
She gave Dane Cook his first broadcast debut on the David Letterman show.
Got it.
So these relationships go way back.
Way back.
So that is obviously an advantage to us in putting all these pieces together. And really, my vision in this was, there are all these things that already exist.
Yeah.
It's easy to put them together.
Right.
So we already have the relationships with the talent. We know how the comedy clubs work, and we know how live streaming works. So let's put it all together, create some sort of economic model around it, and just try to pull it off.
Because if you follow Amber J on Facebook and Twitter and all the social platforms.
At Amber J. Lawson, you mean?
Yeah, at Amber J. Lawson.
At
exactly.
Amber J. Lawson.
When you're not following at World of Schwartz, of course.
Yes.
Or at UBN Radio. Or at Tony Sweet as well.
Sure.
Okay.
Or at Comedy Gives Back.
Or at anywhere, really. But when you're following Amber J. Lawson, she is really, you are literally at almost every talent agency, every comedy club, every production company. Every day you're somewhere else, and it's, I
Are
mean,
you saying I get around?
you do get around,
Thank you.
but only good things are said.
I work hard at it.
Yeah, exactly. So you're always meeting with new acts and new content creators, right? To pull into this thing.
Well, so it's interesting. I'm always looking for new platforms that we can partner with in order to get bigger distribution. So the idea,
and just define what you mean by platform.
So our first show was done with Stickum.
Okay.
Our big 24-hour global digital telethon was on Daily Motion. The next one at South by Southwest was with YouTube. Yahoo, thank you. We did YouTube's Comedy Week.
Okay.
So
a partner that has a lot of eyeballs.
Preferably,
Okay,
right? So it's a two-way street, right? We're bringing traditional and online influencers that have their own audience mixed into a whole conversation of a platform that has its own audience. So
Very
both
powerful.
boosts each other
Right.
up.
So the talent that you're bringing has its own fan base. So they through their own channels say, "Hey, I'm on Comedy Gives Back on Yahoo. Come and check it out at this time and donate if you can." So then you get audience that's already on Yahoo, you get their individual audience, and then you get Comedy Gives Back, whoever's been following and wants to give. And so you really,
as well as the charity.
So you really put together this distribution network from all these different flavors.
And
which
on
is a very
top of
modern
that,
concept,
yeah,
right?
is the distribution network, which is, our goal was to have every comedy site participating in one way, shape, or form. So they were embedding our stream on their channel. So Cracked.com, College Humor.
So everybody took your
IFC,
to your stream for that day.
all took the stream for the day, and we're driving their audience also. So it really was a big network. And then after that, and I think this is the interesting part, and really my overall vision of what this could be is, and trying to disrupt the nonprofit gala, sit down, have a chicken dinner, winner chicken dinner,
chicken or salmon,
right? And
can I have no starch, please?
One time out of the year or whatever.
Yeah.
That this would keep on giving.
Right.
So we have this one crazy big event or these smaller events on either a local, national, or global
But you
scale.
have endless content.
So then we have the content that comes out of that, and we're able to window it, which is a big phase happening in the content space right now, where, we thought before, because the internet, everybody could get the internet,
Right.
that there wasn't windowing. But now we go to places like Banff or MIP TV, and you're able to sell your content to other platforms or other.
And could you explain what you mean by windowing for folks that aren't familiar with that as a concept?
Sure, it's this glass thing that
it's always dirty, or that I hit a lot.
So in traditional television, you would have the initial broadcast, and then if you remember back in the day when we were children, over the summer you'd get the reruns.
Oh, like last year when I was a child.
Yeah, exactly. And then maybe you would see it on the plane, or they would sell it internationally, or it would then get sold to syndication and end up in a different tier kind of experience. Now that's all been compressed, right? And you have the first window or the first broadcast, if you will. And so ours is digital first, which is the term we're using, digital first content.
So it goes on a digital platform first before broadcast.
Correct. Okay. Or wherever it ends up. So then our next window in this case was we did a pay-per-view window. So you got that whole live stand-up show. So we did 5 stand-up shows, one in Sydney, Australia, London, New York, and LA, 2 in LA.
Were you flying like all over the world to be there?
Obviously. Me and Jay-Z were flying. And no, I was in LA. I was just up the street at the What's Trending studio. And then we went to the Improv. But that's the magic of the internet.
Right. You don't have to actually go. Right.
Right. And now everything. So we would have teams in those locations. And as long as they had the flip the switch to go live,
everything was
we were
fine.
live. Yeah.
Right. And is this kind of equivalent to when we think that you are actually at the Hollywood Bowl, but really it's just because your apartment is on top of the Hollywood Bowl?
I don't live in an apartment. I live in a house, And yes, that is correct. Most
she lives
of the
right
times.
on top of the Hollywood Bowl. And so she'll say, I'm at this concert. And I know she's just sitting in her porch.
But I'm listening to the concert.
I know. She does.
I mean,
right
technically.
there. It is right there. No,
Right.
you're right.
Thanks for outing me.
Or like when you say I'm going to the Oscars and really you've just driven by the Oscars. Sorry. Okay, so let's go on. I'm always like, wow, she got in the Oscars again because you're dressed. You're dressed up. Okay.
I have clothes on. I mean, I know it's a crazy concept.
Okay, so you chop up the windows. You've got multiple windows.
Oh,
going.
right. So like in that case, we had the live event, obviously for 24 hours. Then we turned it around. The stand-up shows were put on sale as a pay-per-view window.
Okay.
Then we opened it up after that window was over to YouTube. So we had all the clips on YouTube. So we were monetizing our content on YouTube.
All along the entire path. And everybody who performs understands where the content is going. Are they signing a contract that says that? Or?
So yes, they sign a contract with us with the understanding our business model is we're a social benefit enterprise. So we pay for our costs, and then we split 50-50 with the charity after that. So 100% of the donations go to them. But then on top of that, every time we make money off of the content that came from their show, they're making more money.
More money. And then
then we just like at MIP TV, we sold, we licensed the content to a Israeli company called Hyro Media, and we've started this new site called Comicure. And there's another financial opportunity for Malaria No More from an event that happened 2 years ago at this point.
That's great. And so you're maintaining relationships then with a variety of these charity organizations too, who want to keep, benefiting from different types of content that you're aggregating.
Well, and I think this leads to the bigger trend question.
Yes. Tell us, can we have some trend question music?
Let's see.
Wow. Well, that cleared my sinuses out. How about yours?
What kind of trend is that?
Wow. Okay, that would have broken my contact lens if I was wearing one.
Yeah. So the trend in companies today are to be social good or social impact organizations.
So everybody has an armed somebody paying attention to that in their companies.
Well, it kind of falls into 2.5 buckets. One being old school corporate social responsibility.
So CSR.
CSR. And that has been growing over time where companies will do green things, or they'll have a day when everybody in the company volunteers, or they donate a certain amount of
Go and clean up Amber J's house.
It
for
could be
instance.
anything.
Yeah.
Please. I like this organization. So that's kind of one bucket and has been around. Then there are impact companies. So that's like a Tom's Shoes, where you go and you as a consumer, you bought a pair of shoes and you know that another pair of shoes are going to another human being on this planet.
So you made an impact. You
Right.
made an impact by what you're doing.
So
that's cool.
So there are organizations like that, whether it's
Threadless or
right, they're making purses, and it's a
One for
woman
one.
in Africa who is making that out of their native materials, and
Right.
you've supported a woman in another.
Yeah, I just
country.
met a startup like that where their site is like an Etsy, but it's Etsy for
social
yeah.
impact.
social impact, right? It's for people all over the world who are making a unique product, and you can buy it, and then some of the money goes into the community and some of it goes to the creator themselves. But it's
What's it called?
I forget it because I was on that one. It was at Kevin Winston's event.
Yeah,
and they were on my thing, and I said, "Is it like an Etsy?" And she said, "Yes, but it's not the money's not about building up that person's bank. It's about building up the town, the environment, the culture, the economy of the area that person lives in."
And then so I'd say the third piece of this, the 2.5 piece, is I don't know why I halved it. I'll give it a 3.
Okay.
It's a solid 3.
Okay.
Is a B Corp.
Oh, B Corp. I've never heard that before.
So B Corps are benefit corporations who make a pledge. So there's one thing to be CSR, and there's kind of no way to measure that, right? I could say, well, I have a recycle bin and call myself CSR, or I could be doing something huge and be in that same grouping. A B Corp, you've gone through a very rigorous process of validating what you're stating is your business model. So we are a social benefit enterprise. We cover our expenses.
So you guys are a B Corp.
We're in the process.
Okay.
Like, it's a process.
Okay.
And then we split our revenue or our profits 50-50.
Okay.
So other organizations may have a different
Model,
but as long as they go through that, they've passed a kind of like
threshold.
Yeah, so it's not just like I'm saying it and
Right.
but it's really validated.
It's formalized. And when did this B Corp become something you could do? Is that a recent
I would
phenomenon?
say over the past 2 or 3 years, and really in the past years, it become a thing
that you aim for, and it gives you some filters to go through in order to pass. So I think that would be great, because then you're legislating how to be social good, which is easier than getting into tax issues or breaking the law by accident because you didn't realize.
Right. And it gives companies who are making the planet a better place in one way, shape, or form
authenticity.
A, validating that they're there, and 2, giving them some sort of breaks, right? So they're not a nonprofit, because the kind of rigor that comes with maintaining nonprofit status is not always appealing to every company.
Right, and you also want to make a living. You want to make a living. You want to make a
Exactly.
living making money for other people too.
And that's
right.
and that's really the shift in thinking that I think we're moving into.
It's fascinating.
Everybody can be abundant.
Right.
You can have a profitable company. You can make money,
Right.
and you can do good by making
So you
money
can be
in whatever
you could
way
be a
that is.
capitalist and still be social good.
Yes.
Right? That's really the modern millennial twist here, is that millennials aren't saying, I want to do social good and only eat like a chip. They're saying, I'm going to be killer. I'm going to make a great living. I'm going to live in the house I want to live in. But by the way, everything I'm doing is also going to profit my community.
Right.
So I love that. So Comedy Gives Back is going to be a B Corp.
Correct.
And do you get to, put that in places, and is there like a...
it's like a little, insignia that you get, a little stamp of approval.
Will it be on your door like I'm an A restaurant or a B restaurant or whatever?
That's real. I would think I would want that.
I just made that up now.
I think we
You can do it.
should.
Like getting a Meritage sticker in the Palo Alto.
I like it.
That's fantastic and fascinating, frankly.
Go on, Lori. You didn't know all these levels of me. Did
No,
you?
well, I knew that you knew everything there was about philanthropicness, but
I don't think that is the case at all. I'm trying, and it's a new world. You know, having been in the comedy and digital space for so long, it is embarking in a new community, and they do business at a different pace and a different, there are, like we're talking about, old school mentality in some of these organizations, and then there are some that are adopting and moving quickly.
And you're pulling a lot of different worlds together, which I think is very modern and very interesting. The digital world, the comedy world, and again, the social good world. Now, and what's next? What next are you working on? So is Comedy Gives Back continuously going on? You're always preparing for the next show?
So we have something that we haven't announced
Okay.
yet. That's really exciting.
What does it rhyme with?
Wait a minute.
That was my
No
white girl
comment.
dance. White girl dance. No comment. Nice. So when will you be announcing the thing that you can't
Well,
announce?
I hope in the next 2 months.
And this would be the next Comedy Gives Back show, basically? Or?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you're still banging on all the content that you've done all the last couple years and all the different windowing and all those different things. And then now you're getting ready for this year's version of it.
Correct.
That's so exciting. And then plus you have your own projects going on.
That is my own projects going on.
No, but you're dabbling in lots of other things.
Right. So I have something else I'm brewing, but it's not ready for prime time quite yet.
Or the Tech Cat prime time, which is a whole different type of time.
I mean, it's really the best, right? And then I am working with various groups of people. I run a social media agency, so I do social media for a lot of celebrities in town. And I also work with a lot of conferences.
Right, which is really how Amber J and I work together for a while, is that we work in the curation space. We curate together.
Human beings.
That's right, together.
I thought you were going to go with sweaty balls.
Let's do it again. We curate human
beings.
Nice. I like it. I
love it.
So let's talk a little bit about trends in the media content space. So can we have some of our sound effect for our top trend segment here on the Tech Cat Show? See, that comes through your system. It comes through. Oh, a man back there just sweated watching you do that. Okay. Anyway. So have you been paying attention to some of the technology trends? Are any of them impacting the work that you're doing? Or is there anything that particularly turns you on in that space? Nothing?
Completely asexual.
But you're aware of things that are going on. It's just not your main focus.
No. So I'm just kidding. So so I think the trends that refer to Comedy Gives Back are those CSR and B Corp and
the business trends.
Right. But in regard to technology, the nonprofit space has been very disrupted by the OMAs and the various auction sites, charity buzz. Of the world.
What do those do? Tell us.
So what those do are they kind of give you once in a lifetime experiences that you can bid for. We did one with Comedy Gives Back in our 24-hour event. So like the auction that we offered up was they got to be a part of the entire day. So they were the only person who wasn't on the crew allowed in the studio.
Oh, neat. Okay.
So then when Zach Galifianakis was there in the studio, they got to meet him. They got a front row ticket to the 2 shows at the Hollywood Improv. So then they got to meet Mark Maron and Kevin Nealon and Dane Cook.
They had like prime access to everything.
Right. And they were smack in the middle of it.
And they auctioned. That was an auction.
It was an auction.
Okay.
So, I mean, that could be like lunch with George Clooney or
I was
going
to
on
ask you that I would like to have lunch with George Clooney.
Good luck. There's an auction on Charity Buzz.
Yeah, because I think that would be fun. Just to sit on his lap for a little bit. I don't have to talk.
I mean, he's a married man now.
I don't
like,
care.
All that
those rules go away in certain situations.
I mean, I'm sure you're on his laminate list.
Yeah. How did you know I laminated that?
Obviously.
We agreed. My husband and I agreed upon the people that I was allowed to sleep with.
Who else is on that list?
Well, President Clinton.
Yeah, obviously.
Of course. Patrick Stewart, Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Okay.
Actually,
there is disagreement in the room.
any starship captain, really, except for Kate Mulgrew, because there's an anti-stalking thing with me and her right now.
Okay, fair enough.
And who else is there? Oh, I think a little bit the guy Bradley Cooper a little bit.
I could see that.
Yeah, I slung him in there last year.
Did you slung him in there?
Yeah, in the list. So I'd say Clooney, Cooper, Clinton, and
So C's,
and then Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Come on, make it so, Lori. Engage. Take us to Warp 7,
Do we
Lori.
have any sound effect for this?
Or Pontiac. Drive your Pontiac. You'll see one of the Pontiac.
All right.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, no, I just I like him. Also Mandy Patinkin and Yentl, but I don't think
I
that
get
counts because
that.
it's a character as opposed to a human being.
No, it's all right.
Yeah.
Characters are fine.
Yeah.
So other trends that
Yes.
I think are happening
This is also what Amber J and I do is we digress
all the time.
So the charity sites where you go and you auction and people give a lot of money online.
There's auction and you think of any of these community fundraising crowdsourcing,
but for charity.
right? There's a new CrowdRise.
CrowdRise,
There's
okay.
specific for. In fact, I got to write that down. I went to an event the other night that she spoke, and it's specifically for philanthropies. And the interesting piece that they I find nonprofits struggle with is they have for so many years. It's all about acquisition of emails and building up their email list,
right.
and they're
Loyalty
very
numbers.
precious
Right,
about those. And
Because people that give tend to always give, so you want to hold on to a donor.
but the thing is that they were holding those so close to the vest, but that's really who you need to tap into and to become your advocates,
Right.
not just your donors,
Right.
but your advocates.
Make
and
them
what they
influencers.
found is those donors who maybe only gave once a year before, whenever you would send out that fundraising email at the end of the year, would give at various times throughout the year through the various campaigns you would run.
Okay.
And so it gave them another opportunity to contribute, as well as tapping their network, which amplifies your reach by X.
So applying modern social media Uber influencer conversations, trends.
But I don't even think it's Uber, influencers.
Just regular people.
We don't really count in this, but like my mom, Tina Peters, in Raytown, Missouri, she's a Red Hatter, and she goes to Tops, which I want to announce that she won the Biggest Loser this year. She lost the most weight in her Tops Taking Pounds Off Sensibly group. And
wait, what is it? It's just a weight loss program in Missouri?
It's just her support group for losing weight in
Okay.
Missouri. And she was the winner this year.
Mm-hmm.
She lost the most weight, and I found it.
Oh, you found the weight? Okay.
Nobody it took a minute.
We're all like Tops to Missouri weight loss. We're going with
Anyway,
you.
my point is
I was following you.
is that she has groups of people that she could tap into, that even though she's not an Uber influencer, she is a grassroots influencer.
It's really modern, leveraging a loyalty program in a modern way. Not to your point, not locking up that database, but banging on it in smart modern ways throughout the year. That's great. So that's what you're starting to see happen now with a lot of these groups.
Right. And the unfortunate thing that's happening to the nonprofits is they're being bombarded with solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And so their focus is being pulled in many directions, and they're
Right.
not really sure, where to place their bets.
Right.
Because
right.
they're good at what they're good at.
Right.
And all this other stuff
So
we're
it's-
good at.
Right. So it's a lot of tech platforms that solve problems for them in the digital world, but also in the commerce world, because there's all sorts of new virtual currencies and different things. And there's a lot of philosophies and theories about put the give button on your phone and people tap it really easily and pay through SMS and all these different models. So they're being bombarded by these, and they're not sure how to move forward. So here you come. You're the digital producing philanthropical person, and you could actually offer them strategy.
So that's really where I'm moving into,
is being a strategist for how to move through the space.
Really around content and
philanthropic, social good,
social media, and being able to leverage that in
commerce
and
engines.
Converting them into
I love that.
the future or now donors, advocates, and volunteers.
And are you finding that because I'm about to do an event with iMedia Commerce Summit, and there's big topics about virtual currencies and about the psychological impact of the user experience and having that button, or Bitcoins and what that's doing to drive. Are those things coming into conversation with you guys yet, or is it
I would
more
say
traditional?
It's more traditional. In most nonprofits have at least made the leap into Facebook and to Twitter, and then the next phase is like, what's next? Like, where they're gonna put their time and their resources. The good news is that they kind of our first wave, remember, where we were like spending all our time educating people, and it was really exhausting and not financially beneficial,
not
to us.
lucrative, right? Not lucrative,
but people have adopted, and are embracing that. And if they're not, then they're not, and you just move on.
But
to
they
people who
appreciate
are.
that you can guide them through that journey.
Absolutely.
And what about someone was just telling me about this phenomenon, and I don't know if this is a place where charities can tap, but all the gift card companies that purposely set up the cards in a way that there's always change left on them no matter what. Is anyone collecting that change in a charity kind of organization, like topping up a couple of cents and all those models? That's something somebody was telling me about the other day.
I love that. Can you put me in contact with that person?
Yes, we will.
I have a concept that we're working on right now that is a similar idea, but not in the gift card space. But I think that's really smart.
Yeah, a lot of the gift cards.
How would you collect that?
Well,
I guess
they are collecting it because people don't spend those last few cents.
The 28 cents
and
that you left on your Starbucks card.
Right, and the card gets thrown out, and that money then becomes interest for the gift card companies. So that's how they make a lot of their extra money. But I was thinking,
we were in the wrong business.
Yeah,
Larry.
exactly. For so long. All right. Well, let's go to another topic because I love the direction that you're moving your life in with all of this, because it totally makes sense. This is the next segment, which is What's the Scoop segment.
What's the scoop?
Wow, that's like a good Q-tip in the ear there.
I was thinking like Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, something. That was
Road
something.
Runner.
Somebody got hit somewhere. Where do you find out all your stuff? Like, you always know where to go and what to do. Like, I'm always like, you're always calling me and saying, "Are you at the blah blah?" And I'm like, "No, I'm like passed out on my couch." Because the real difference between Amber J and I, besides a few years, just a few, is I'm in that parenting place, so I'm always passed out in that.
I'm parenting.
You're
my
parenting
13-year-old dog,
yeah.
Lola J. Lawson.
But you're always in fabulous places. You always seem to know where the hot thing is happening or where people are going to be. Like, how do you find out all that stuff? How do you stay so connected? I don't want you to give away your secrets.
No.
You're just plugged in. You're plugged in.
I think because I've been in this space since the beginning, and a lot of because it is a sector that is maturing, that all of us kind of came up together.
Right, we're all growing up together.
And so a lot of our friends have become super successful, and so we're part of that
You
ecosystem.
can call someone up that's running, like all of our friends are really running the multi-channel network.
Running everything.
Right, running everything, yeah. Running us into the ground, frankly.
But it is nice that we're finally at a point in our lives, our careers, that it is just a phone call or an email away.
Yeah.
For us to book somebody on something, or to have access, or come and pitch, or partner, or whatever the kind of
whatever your needs are.
The idea is.
That's cool. That's really cool.
And frankly, we've been here. So, I mean, we kind of stood the test of time. We've proven our salt.
Right.
So we don't waste people's time, and we are, and we're effective in what we do. So I think people, take our calls seriously.
Is there any trade journals or anything that you read every day that to you is
I write the trade journals. No,
does.
I mean, you know, I follow certain people on Twitter,
Okay.
and that keeps me in breaking news. So I tend to be breaking news when it breaks.
It's like Deadline. I know
I
what you
don't
meant.
really follow Deadline.
Which
I
one?
follow like Mashable and Synopsis. Well, even Synopsis doesn't pop up on my
Well, Video Inc. We're big fans of.
Video Inc.
Yeah.
and Tube Filter and Synopsis. That's what I look at via email
for the
right, where I get
entertainment
my
content news,
recap of Synopsis in the morning. I always read that, and then I stay tuned throughout the day with, like, you know, Twitter.
What's going on? And what about
And Facebook, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, Facebook's like surging up again as a place I get a lot of news because I've started to subscribe to publishers inside of Facebook. What about Snapchat and Instagram and any of those guys? Are they?
Well, I'm getting much more Instagram-y, but at Amber J. Lawson.
You mean World of Schwartz and UBN Radio?
Yeah,
as well?
exactly. Snapchat.
Yeah.
I am fascinated by Snapchat, and I was
love
saying,
the Discover channel. I was
saying somebody's got to go out there and you know, as a brand, and get in the middle of this. They'll win this game.
Yeah.
And Discover came out.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's happening.
Yeah, and the brands.
Do you Snapchat?
Well, I am enjoying the content on it. I don't use the platform myself too much, but I am one of the 98% that consumes the content created on there by the publishers.
And it seems like what's really buzzing out of South by Southwest is these
Meerkat
live streaming social networks
Yeah.
like Hang With.
Oh, Hang With, yes.
I mean, Hang With really was leading
Hang With
that.
was a company that Amber J worked with, right?
And we did a 50 Cent concert last year at South by.
Yeah, the Meerkat was the big news at South by, streaming through Twitter, and then Twitter pulled its API
I
out,
know, right?
bought Periscope, and now Meerkat's still doing great. So this ability to live stream wherever you want. So I got to judge like a startup panel out of the blue, McDonald's, looking at new possible marketing technologies for a restaurant. Really interesting companies presenting. And then people were like meerkatting all over the place. And I would just like turn around. There'd be like 10 cameras on me going, what are your thoughts? God damn it.
And are they calling you?
They're all calling me. So right now. So Meerkat was really big. But
Do you not have a mute button on your phone?
I thought I muted it. I did thought I muted
Clearly.
it. I know. I said, please call me at the end of the show to get me out of there. I need an out from Amber J. So
We're doing 24 hours around the clock.
we could do that. We should do that.
I would love that.
Like they shoot horses, don't they? Kind of.
Yeah.
Thing?
I'll put my hand on.
on the desk, right? You can't.
Whoever's hand slips off first loses.
And you win this water bottle. Well, what about, are there any charity or social giving sites or newsletters or applications or anything that you read? Does anyone blog or write about social good that you think is interesting?
I'm just now
Digging
really
into
trying to figure out who my feed is going to be. I've been very lucky. On my board, we have Phillips McCarty and Joel Goldman. Joel Goldman is the executive director of the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation.
Oh, okay.
And
So
Phillips
these are
McCarty,
the real thing.
yeah. And Phillips McCarty is the CEO of Good Scout, and they do like consulting, CSR, really strategy for nonprofits. And they've helped me really navigate the world and connect me in. And so I'm just getting my footing. I went to Ken Seaton's Philanthropy Touch. That's where I saw CrowdRise. So
God, what an interesting space to be in, Amber J. Lawson.
It is what's I feel what's bubbling up. It's very millennial. It's about community doing good on a global or on a local, national, and global scale.
Local. So getting involved in CSR, operationalizing it, making it a profitable business venture, and you don't have to starve to work in CSR. You can actually you can be a capitalist, but raise money for others as well.
Exactly.
At the same time.
I mean, I think that's really the fabric of companies as we move forward. If you don't have that element, I mean, there are studies out there that show millennials will tend to buy from a company that is forward facing in the good that they're doing.
Right.
And kind of that being the core of the company as part of its value system is what we're moving towards as humans on this planet.
Humans. Well, anything before we close out that you want to tell us about? I know you have a couple announcements coming up, and you'll come back and share them with us.
I have some big announcements that are rolling out. You can see me next Wednesday. I'll be performing at the Content Industry Connect LA at the London Hotel, and that's presented by Banff World Media Festival. Right. So that's Wednesday the 25th.
And people can get tickets for that online.
Yeah, go to la.contentindustryconnect.
I'll be there, ladies and gentlemen.
Lori will be performing. She will be doing the top 5 trends of 2015.
That's right, as they bubble up in the next 5 days.
Get to bubbling. And then I will be performing live also at the MIP TV Digital Fronts.
Great.
I'll be hosting those again with Shira Lazar. Yeah, and I have some big, announcements.
And you're going and Banff itself, which is
Banff itself is June 7th through the 10th
in
Banff.
Which is
have you been to Banff before?
Yes, a couple times. Yeah,
gorge.
Yeah, very gorgeous.
And it's another Nappy, which we both love to go to down in Miami, is such a great connector and where we all kind of hub up. It's the Canadian version of that in a beautiful location.
And Canadians have access to dough in a whole different way, which is fascinating in itself. That could be a whole show.
Yes. And so they're building out really their digital and brand experience and tracks and ecosystems there. So our whole community should be
going there.
Yeah, going.
And it's beautiful. It's a great place to take your family, too. There's just tons of stuff to do there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's Lori Schwartz here from Hollywood, California. The lovely Amber J. Lawson. Gentlemen, get back. Get back. Sir, that's not appropriate. Okay. Thank you so much. Join us again at the Tech Cat Show. Yeah.
Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's UBNradio.com.